Good evening. The Republic's foreign minister yesterday strongly urged North Korea to renounce terrorism once and for all as an instrument of its state policy. The Korea Herald reports ROK Foreign Minister Chae Kwang-soo told members of the UN Security Council that the North was responsible for the November bombing of the KAL jetliner, which killed 115 people. Chae's speech gave long testimony of his government's findings of the destruction of KAL Flight 858, including 2 North Korean agents traveling under Japanese passports. One of them committed suicide in Bahrain following his arrest. The other agent, Kim Hyun-hee, survived the suicide attempt. Meanwhile, ROK and U.S. officials ended 6 days of negotiations yesterday on the sale of U.S. cigarettes sold in the Republic. Yonhap News reports no agreement was reached. The 2 delegations discussed the matter of reducing the retail prices of American cigarettes in Korea, distribution methods, as well as advertisements. However, the talks failed to reach any concrete agreements. Director of the ROK Finance Ministry's National Treasury Bureau, Park Sung-kyun, told reporters in Washington that the Korean delegation suggested they would levy the same tax amount on both U.S. and Korean cigarettes. If that tax is applied, the price of U.S. imported cigarettes will drop from 1,300 won to 820 won per pack. In military news tonight, paying dental bills can be as painful as getting a tooth pulled. But as correspondent Cheryl Chillcott reports, there's a dental program that keeps a visit to the dentist from drilling a hole in your pocket.
Visiting an Army dental clinic on a space-available basis or paying for private dental care used to be the only option for active-duty family members. Last year, an alternative was developed called the Active Duty Dependents Dental Insurance Plan. With the government paying 60% of the tab, the soldier's price is right, and so is the care.
We think the program is working very well. The program was designed to provide basic-level dental care for family members of active duty personnel.
There have been a couple of problems with the program. Primarily, not everyone has kept up their DEERS enrollment. Although this is not a Champus program, not having your DEERS up to date can cause payment delays. Another problem is if you are overseas, you're not automatically enrolled. You'll need to do so when you get back home.
Consequently, when they PCS back to CONUS, they are not automatically in the dental insurance program. They are actually going to have to go to their unit PAC and fill out a DA 1341 and enroll in the program.
If you need to find out the dentist nearest you that participates in the program, a list is maintained at your health benefit advisor's office.
According to officials, out of 150,000 dentists in the United States, 92,000 now participate in the program. Sergeant Cheryl Chillcott, Washington.
In other news this Wednesday, what happens to military service members who test positive for HIV or the AIDS virus? Well, tonight in the third part of our 5-part series on AIDS testing in the military, correspondent Warren Lee looks at the treatment available for those who test positive and the career consequences.
Under Defense Department policy, military members who test HIV positive will not be assigned outside the United States, and the services cannot take adverse action against individuals simply because they've tested positive. However, the military may restrict an individual's security clearance and prohibit certain duties such as diving or flying.
That's being done because the evidence suggests increasingly that the first manifestation of the HIV infection as it progresses in some individuals may be a neurological or psychiatric dysfunction. So any job that requires rapid critical judgments may be impaired.
For military members stationed overseas, a confirmed positive for HIV means a trip to a military medical center in the United States for a complete medical evaluation. Dr. Edmund Tremont is director of the Clinical HIV Research Program at Walter Reed Army Medical Center.
Once they are at the medical center, they are evaluated from the standpoint of their immunologic status and on their neurologic status, because the HIV virus affects those 2 organ systems primarily. If the immunologic system and the neurological system are found to be normal, the patient is returned to duty.
Individuals who stay on active duty are periodically reevaluated. Follow-on treatment depends on the results of those evaluations.
HIV infection is being managed to the greatest extent that we can, like any other long-term chronic illness. Medical separations, medical retirement rules and regulations are the same for HIV as they are with any other disease.
DoD policy is quite clear that military men or women who test HIV positive but still are physically fit for duty are not barred from reenlistment. However, people who are no longer fit for duty are medically separated or retired. Warren Lee, AFRTS, Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland.
Tomorrow night in Part 4, we'll look at who is told if you test positive and how such medical information is protected. Well, the supply lines have been long and the weather has been less than cooperative, but construction on the Pacific Air Force's NCO Academy at Kadena Air Base is nearing completion. And as correspondent David Scott-Howe tells us, the work's being done by the 554th Red Horse Civil Engineering Squadron.
Rapid engineering, deployable, heavy operations, repair squadron, engineers. That's what the letters in the acronym Red Horse stand for. But what do they mean?
Well, a Red Horse Squadron, it consists of 400 individuals that come from civil engineering, basically. They have the engineering career fields. And it's a composite of the craftsmen. And in this Red Horse unit, this is the only Red Horse unit in PACAF. And we're responsible for doing heavy construction jobs around the Pacific Theater.
There are also 2 Red Horse squadrons in the States, one in Europe and a reserve squadron. A normal civil engineering squadron does mainly repair work. In Red Horse, craftsmen like masons, carpenters, electricians, and others get to build things from scratch. The 554th is from Osan Air Base, Republic of Korea. They have 35 projects going on around the Pacific, but the largest is the renovation of the PACAF NCO Academy at Kadena, which began in October.
We have stairwells being closed in, so there'll no longer be exposed stairwells. We have a grand foyer entrance that's being placed in the ceremonial area. We have a drill pad and volleyball court being built.
And much more. The structure will be a showcase for the command when completed at a cost of $5.5 million.
The majority of the heavy work will be done here within the next month. After that, there's still some detail work to do, and contractors are working on renovating the inside. The complete project should be done sometime this summer. That's when PACAF Commander-in-Chief General Jack Gregory plans on retiring and dedicating the new facility. For AFKN from Kadena Air Base, Okinawa, Japan, I'm Air Force Sergeant David Scott-Howe.
In 2nd Division news tonight, the 1st Battalion 503rd Infantry's Combat Support Company recently had the opportunity to do their thing under combat conditions. AFKN's Marvin Parker caught the group of warriors in action and tonight files this report.
Combat Arms live fire took place this week, giving excellent coordination and training to the Combat Support Company, 1st of the 503rd Infantry. This 4-deuce platoon got the opportunity to task combat simulation. Sergeant First Class David Wright explains their mission.
The training that they're getting out of this is for a wartime situation. Learning to pull in position, set up, properly camouflage, and conduct the missions.
Specialist Preston Rush explains why the training is so necessary.
Be combat ready as ready as possible, because they could alert us on any minute, any day, any hour, no matter what we're doing. And we need to be out here combat ready to accomplish a mission whenever time is needed, whenever we're needed to take care of anything. So the more training we get, the better it is.
They may be considered small guns by some, but the 4-deuce 107mm mortar can put steel on a target faster than any artillery piece. Specialist Marvin Parker, AFKN News, Santa Barbara Range.
In Air Force news, when it comes to hard work and mission accomplishment, military units throughout the Republic do everything that's required. But in several areas, the Wolfpack goes a step beyond. We have 2 reports tonight, the first from AFKN's J.D. Harrington.
The 8th Supply Squadron, one of many units assigned to the 8th Tactical Fighter Wing, was recently recognized as a unit that knows what dedication is, what going the extra mile means, and how to be a leader among other like units. During ceremonies held Friday morning, Lieutenant General C.C. Rogers, the 7th Air Force Commander, presented Lieutenant Colonel Albert Kluzinski, the Chief of Supply, with the Dedallion Trophy, identifying the unit as the best supply squadron in the Pacific. Supplies here to support the assigned flying mission, and 2 contributing factors to winning this award revolved around them doing so. Besides several fuels people winning individual awards, the entire fuels branch, from aircraft refuelers to lab technicians, won outstanding honors in last year's operational readiness inspection. Supply also opened a critical parts warehouse on the flight line, cutting down the time necessary in getting badly needed parts to the aircraft. This in turn helps keep the aircraft at a mission-ready status at all times. In other areas, they repaved their outside storage and WRM areas, took 7th Air Force honors for their zero overpricing program, and continue to lead the Wolfpack in most community projects and sporting events. Even though being overseas and at the end of the supply pipeline does cause problems, overcoming these obstacles is an everyday occurrence as the 8th Supply Squadron continues to make it better for the Wolfpack. Air Force Sergeant J.D. Harrington, AFKN News, Kunsan.
8th Supply was only one stop on Lieutenant General C.C. Rogers' agenda at the Wolfpack last week. The commander of the 7th Air Force also paid a visit to the Air Base Operability Branch on Kunsan to present the award of Best in PACAF for 1987. ABO's primary mission is training for disaster preparedness. However, the unit's task also includes training specialized teams in key squadrons at Kunsan, keeping the Wolfpack ready for any scenario. Captain Donald L. McCracken Jr. heads up the training force and stated that ABO took the honor of Best in PACAF even after some dramatic changes last April when the division was dissolved and reorganized with the Air Base Operability Concept, broadening the role of the unit.
In addition to the disaster preparedness function, we now have the EOD function and a special plan section that takes care of all of the base attack response plans and plans for responding to major accidents and incidents.
Dynamite comes in small packages, so the old saying goes, and that certainly holds true for the Wolfpack. When the Air Base Operability Branch accepted the award of Best in the Pacific Air Forces, they became one of 3 units on Kunsan with that distinction, along with 8th Supply and the 8th Civil Engineering Squadron. Airman Dan Coker, AFKN News, Kunsan.
Still ahead this evening, Marty Sprankle will be in with our Wednesday weather segment, and Warriors of the 2nd Infantry Division get supplied with the latest in ski equipment. We'll have the story when the AFKN News Hour for a Wednesday continues.
Unbelievable. Look at this body deterioration. No one would let this car pass inspection. Uh-oh. The trunk won't open and close properly. Suppose it flew up while someone was driving this vehicle. Let's see. The windshield shot too. It's cracked. Deterioration, trunk not working, windshield cracked. It all adds up to an unsafe vehicle.
Good evening. The only weather to speak of outside of cold temperatures is a little bit of snowfall down in the southwest portion of the country and out on Chejudo. Kunsan Air Base and Chejudo both reported flurries this morning and again this afternoon, but it was very short-lived and of very little consequence to either area. Through tonight, those 2 spots may see a few more snowflakes, and outside of that, nothing. Fair skies for the remainder of the ROK, not even a little fog to help me out here. So I'll move right on to the temperatures. The low this morning was 9 degrees at Osan Air Base, with a low to mid-teens around the rest of the northwest and 20s in the southeast down by Daegu and Busan. Now that 9 was the lowest. It dropped around sea level. However, the folks stationed up at Pilsung Range had a little bit cooler temperatures. Their low this morning was 3 degrees. The highs were very similar to yesterday's, and we'll take a look at them in a minute. First, let's peek at the satellite picture from this afternoon and see what is heading towards us. And you see more high pressure bearing down on us. It's going to keep us high and dry and cold through tomorrow. I'm going to put that slight warming I talked about yesterday off for another 24 hours. We are still getting the northwesterly flow in the lower levels, which is bringing the cold air from the north with it, and that flow won't shift until sometime on Friday. In the meantime, you can see the cloud cover out over the Yellow Sea and over the southwest coast and Chejudo. That's where their snow is coming from. That type of cloud cover, by the way, is known as cold air cumulus, formed by the cold air moving from the north over the relatively warm Yellow Sea. And that will stay there as long as we have the good cold air swinging down from northern China. That is quite often the reason why the Southwest and no one else gets those snow showers. For the rest of Asia this afternoon, Vladivostok had a minor heat wave hit them, warming from the high of 3 yesterday to 11 today. Snow continues for Misawa Air Base. Tokyo was a sunny and mild 43. Rain for Paradise, Kadena a cool 61 with the showers. Taiwan also had some rain, while Clark Air Base was a mostly cloudy 88. Here in the ROK, I already gave you the lows. The high was 38 all over the south coast and Cheju-do, as well as in the northeast at Gangneung. In the northwest, there were mid-20s and low 30s again. The wind chill this afternoon was from a plus 10 to minus 10 across the peninsula. And now for the night's forecast. Fair to partly cloudy skies for all but that southwest area. They'll have variable cloud cover there with occasional snow flurries through the evening. The winds are going to be from the northwest of 5 to 15 miles per hour, and the lows tomorrow morning from the upper single digits to mid-teens in the northern half of the country, and then the upper teens to mid-20s down south. The wind chill from a plus 5 to minus 15 across the country. And then tomorrow, fair to partly cloudy skies again, the chance for flurries continuing in the southwest. The winds are going to be northwesterly at 10 to 20 miles per hour, some gusts as high as 25 miles per hour along the coastal areas. Be a little breezy tomorrow. The highs are going to be from the mid-20s to mid-30s across Korea. The outlook for Friday, same outlook actually I gave you yesterday for Thursday. Fair skies and a little bit warmer temperatures, but nothing major coming across China.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's it.
Thanks, Marty.
All right.
We'll see you tomorrow. And now with a look at what's making headlines this Wednesday evening is CNN's Wally Kaiser.
In the headlines is Bush and Dukakis in New Hampshire. The vice president beat Senator Bob Dole by a surprisingly large margin.
Thank you, New Hampshire.
On the Democratic side, Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis came out on top in the nation's first presidential primary.
We went for the gold and we won it.
In Sunnyvale, California, a gunman surrendered to police Tuesday night, ending a standoff that began when he opened fire in a computer company, killing 7 people. Those are the hour's top stories. I'm Wally Kaiser.
In other news tonight, a Korean dancing troupe brought the rich Korean tradition of dance to the warriors of the 2nd Infantry Division recently. As AFKN's Ed Multerer tells us, some of the dances performed date far, far back.
A grand performance of Korean heritage was on display as the Sukkyung Lee folk dancing troupe performed at the Camp Hovey Recreation Center. The dance troupe performed a variety of dances, some dating as far back as the 6th century BC. The dance movements convey emotion in relating a historical and religious perspective of the Korean history. For many looking on, it was an event that inspired as well as entertained.
What I've seen tonight, I'd like to learn as much as I could about the Korean culture. And I still got a lot to learn about it, and I hope I can learn as much as I can.
Among the dances performed were the Kugomu, 9-drum dance. The dance is of Buddhist origin. It expresses the agony and spiritual exhaustion of mortal man. The beating of the drums is interpreted as an attainment of salvation. Another dance that has Buddhist origin is the mask dance. In it, a dancer wearing an unusual mask shows joy, love, anger, and happiness. The fan dance, performed with Korean fans made of bamboo, is designed to express the traditional sentiment of the Korean people. The evening's performance was concluded with the traditional farmer's dance. The ancient dance is a sign of gratitude for an abundant harvest. It's still a popular dance among the Korean people. And for that matter, according to those in attendance, the traditional Korean dance is popular among Americans as well. Specialist Ed Multerer, AFKN News, Camp Hovey.
And finally, while most USFK skiers have pretty much given up on skiing on natural snow this winter, there are still a few more weekends of skiing left, and as AFKN's Ed Multerer reports, the first stop for 2ID skiers should be Camp Casey's 220 Recreation Center.
The ski season is rapidly drawing to a close, but the Camp Casey 220 Recreation Center's outdoor ski rental program is starting to snowball. The Rec Center recently received brand new skis, poles, and boots, boosting its inventory to accommodate up to 70 skiers. Jim Hogreeve, the 220 Rec Center's program director, says that the equipment isn't the only improvement to the ski rental program.
We'll have a checkout counter, or actually a workbench right here, that will be about 30 inches high and about 6 feet wide. That'll give us an opportunity to have the skis in a workable position, so we'll be able to adjust and fine-tune, repair, maintenance, P-tex the skis, wax the skis at an adjustable height.
The Rec Center offers unit rentals and coordinates its rentals with the Casey Tour and Travel Center ski tours. The skis are available for rental from 5 to 7 the night before the scheduled TTC ski trip. Holgrebe says that response has been overwhelming to the program and that the new equipment and scheduled renovations are going to make renting skis much more convenient. Specialist Ed Multerer, AFKN News, Camp Casey.
And finally, before we leave you, let's run down what Winter Olympics coverage is in store for you tomorrow on AFKN TV. The live excitement from Calgary begins tomorrow morning at 10 with a make-or-break contest for the American ice hockey team. They'll face off tomorrow morning against the Soviet Union. Immediately following that, stay tuned for live coverage of the men's 5,000-meter speed skating competition, the 90-meter team ski jumping venue, and finally men's figure skating. And again, that'll start tomorrow morning at 10, and then we'll air a repeat of the day's coverage at 8:20 tomorrow night, all on your Sports Connection, AFKN TV. And that's our report for a Wednesday. For more, join Rob Osmond tonight at 10 for the AFKN Late News Hour. So for the time being, I'm Sergeant Mark Cummings for Marty Sprankle and the crew here. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
The AFKN News Hour, a production of the American Forces Korea Network. In touch with your world.